Welcome back to Hello Nigeria. We're very excited to be back on Monday. No Monday blues for us because we had a popping weekend. I don't know myself. I know that Leila definitely had a popping weekend.
I actually did. This weekend was, I'd say it was like a restful weekend for sure because I'm feeling very energized today. But honestly, I had the best weekend.
Too much turn up. Give us an insight into what you did.
Okay, so we went to the beach and decided to stay overnight. And of course, I didn't stay 2 nights because I had to make it here today. But we stayed overnight on Saturday. It was so fun. It was just like close friends, family. It was honestly just such a vibe. But you had a very eventful weekend as well.
Okay, I didn't do, okay, yeah, I did actually. So on Friday night into Saturday morning, I went on a boat ride somewhere in the heart of Lagos. So I was out on the sea at 11 p.m., 12 midnight. I got home at 1 a.m. It was just a fantastic time of friends gathered together, eating. And for the first time in a long time, we had conversations, meaningful conversations. I really enjoyed, because these days, I'm not a party person, but these days when you go to parties, everybody's either engrossed in their phone or they're playing music and dancing. We had no music distractions. We had conversations.
Amazing.
We got to know each other. Except one person, I met every other person on the boat for the first time. You know, it was just one person I knew there, and we all just really bonded and had a great time. I went to our separate houses. Then, on Saturday, we had Jennifer. Her birthday was on Sunday, but we had a little girls' night out thing on Saturday, and it was really nice. A special shout out to her husband. Her husband really, whilst we were having dinner, he snuck into the restaurant, paid for the bills, snuck back out, sent the driver home, and waited in the car.
Olive, this is the kind of husband we need to find, though.
So shout out to men that know how to make their women feel special. And Jennifer, of course, is an absolutely amazing wife, which is why her husband goes out of the way to do that.
Oh, that's so sweet. You know what, though? I'd say that in terms of phone conversations as well, I had that this weekend, too, because the signal was so bad. So for the first time, it was literally just like everybody had dropped their phones. And obviously, because the generator would only go on at night, we also knew that we had to reserve our batteries. So it was so good to just get into conversations with people and just do something different. For
yes, and the thing about getting into conversations with people is the fact that you get to live other people's experiences. So we had conversations that went as far as the Civil War, what happened during Biafra. You know, we looked at things that happened, and you get to understand what basically makes people tick, and you understand other cultures. Now, at the boat I was on, you know, there were several people that had lived in different parts of the world, and we ended up sharing ideas and getting to know what applies to your culture, what applies to my culture, which leads me to the conversation we're having now. We're looking at cultural appropriation. Now, what is cultural appropriation? It's basically when a majority culture picks up an element in a minority culture and makes it into like a fashion statement. Yeah. You know, so there are several people that have been accused all over the internet of cultural appropriation, the Kardashians being one of them. I remember when Chloe, I think, did the cornrows, and she gave it another name. Yeah. The Fulanese took it very personal. We saw Nigerians going up to say, no, that's a Fulani hairstyle, and it is called, they call the name of the hairstyle. You can't put that up and call it box braids or give it whatever name you want to give.
Honestly.
You know, people took it. Personally, I'm usually mute when those conversations come up, but yeah. So this is an argument we've heard time and time again on social media. Now, my take when it comes to things like this would be, I'm not really an advocate for cultural appropriation. I just think if I wasn't a part of your culture, it's not a bad thing for me to want to express myself in your culture. Yeah. I don't feel that I would be able to learn everything by just sticking to my culture and sticking to the way things are done. I mean, even what we're wearing is not really our culture. We find a way of varying, of learning what works for other people. I'm particularly always very excited when it's October 1st here in Nigeria, because for us on the show, we play dress up. And I get to wear something I'd usually not wear. So last time I wore the Hausa outfit. You know, I like to explore into other cultures, try what happens in Namibia, Zimbabwe, go outside Nigeria, go outside Africa, go into other continents, you know, and try what works for them.
Absolutely.
You know?
I couldn't have said it better myself. I think when it comes to cultural appropriation, the point that she was making to an extent is a fair point, but I think it's such a sensitive situation at the same time that I can also see why people are not happy when it comes to cultural appropriation. Like, Olive, you know, we mentioned the Kardashians at the beginning. I would say that when it comes to appropriation like that, that is the most sensitive type of appropriation. Like when Kylie Jenner got her lip fillers and everyone was like, for how many years have black women been pushed aside and been labeled all sorts of things for having big lips, and now it's suddenly the cool thing to do, you know? So I think when it comes to like oppression and people feeling like they've been oppressed for something for so many years, they get offended when the same people that have oppressed them then want to carry that culture forward.
But can we, if we keep saying, oh, this is my culture, you were not a part of slave trade, you never experienced slave trade, you never experienced what it meant to be a slave, so you can't associate with Africa. How then can we push forward this unity we keep talking about if I don't get to experience what your culture is and you don't get a chance to experience what my culture is? Our problem is, even in Nigeria here, people would criticize you and say you're not African enough. I mean, I saw a video of us on YouTube and some people said, oh, our hair is not African enough, our lashes are not African enough. Please, what makes us African? The fact that I have the African blood flowing in my veins, that I'm proud to be African, I think that in itself is what makes me African. It's not by what I wear on my hair, it's not by whether I'm team natural or I'm permed hair, I'm a creamy crack or I have weave on. It is basically how I feel about myself.
Absolutely.
Who are my parents, who are my ancestors, where are my roots? Basically, it's not what I look like on the outside. So I feel like we should push this argument aside.
Honestly, I completely agree with you on that, because another comment that I saw on YouTube was somebody saying that I don't even have a Nigerian accent and Wazobia is meant to be a pidgin. First of all, this is a fully English-speaking show on Wazobia, but people were making that argument about my accent. And I was thinking, I'm someone who was born and raised in Ibadan, Oyo State. I'm someone who, fortunately enough for me, I could go and study abroad. And based on that, I may not have a Nigerian accent, but does that make me less Nigerian? You know, that's the only thing that could come to my head. So I completely get what you're saying on that front. I think we do need to start embracing cultures more. We also do need to understand that just because a culture is a culture doesn't mean that it's not going to be intertwined with other things for different people. Every human being is an individual, but we are all one. And I think that's the most important
Exactly,
message.
We are all one. That's really the most important message. And the fact that you are African, I am African. If you are African, your Africanness is not dependent on how you look or how you sound, or how you speak rather, or, you know, the kind of how natural your hair is. As much as we're embracing a lot of people going to natural, whether your hair is natural or you're a creamy crack or you wear weaves, you're African, and you're not African just by how you look. It's okay to have visual representations of what Africa is to you, but Africa is who we are. It's in the kindness of our people. It's in the love that we share, the warmth that we share. We've been through so much. We ought to have cracked under the pressure of what we've been through.
Absolutely.
But being able to thrive regardless of all that we have been through, that is what makes us African.
To enjoy more of these our Ogbonge videos when you just watch, press this button to subscribe on top of our YouTube page. You go love her.